Notre Dame and the Big Ten. They've been tied at the hip in conference realignment talks, it seems, since the late 80s. But now with the Big Ten in a powerful position as a conference, why on earth do they need Notre Dame? It's a great time to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Big Ten football content all offseason long. Always crush that like button to spread the word of Big Ten Ted to the masses. The Big Ten is a power player. The Big Ten just signed a television deal where every school is sitting over $100 million. The Big Ten is doing just fine. Let's just say that. The Big Ten doesn't need any school. They don't need any school. Okay? They work out deals to make their conference stronger. Schools need them. They don't need schools. Like this past year when USC and UCLA joined the conference, Oregon and Washington were knocking at the door begging to get into the Big Ten Conference. Just check out the only comedic YouTube short that I've ever done. That's what it was. Oregon and Washington trying to barge their way in to the Big Ten Conference, while Notre Dame continues to sit there. Now, disclaimer, okay, if you don't know this already, Notre Dame is locked in a deal with the ACC until 2036, right? They're a member in every sport except for football, and the deal with football is if Notre Dame joins a conference, it has to be the ACC through 2036. But if some other arrangement is worked out and Notre Dame is available and they call the Big Ten, right? They want to get into certain spots in the college football playoff that they don't have access to right now. Whatever situation it is, should whoever the commissioner is in the Big Ten Conference answer that call. Because I think more headaches and more troubles might come up for the Big Ten rather than great things. Now, the great things about Notre Dame coming into the conference, they have one of the biggest fan bases and alumni bases in the United States of America, right? When you see Notre Dame on TV, you watch because you either love them or you hate them. Notre Dame could be sitting at 3-3. They could be sitting at 2-4, but their game will still draw because they're the most historical program. They've got the most tradition in all of college football. Because they're Notre Dame, they are a national name brand. There's no question about that. But it is that national name brand status that might cause some issues. It might not even be just for the Big Ten. It could even be for the ACC if they decide to join them before 2036, because Notre Dame has been on national television, right? It was the early 90s that they signed that exclusive deal with NBC where only NBC television broadcast cameras and trucks are allowed into South Bend, Indiana to broadcast Notre Dame home football games. An unprecedented deal at the time, and really it remains unprecedented to this day. You have Notre Dame on a pedestal for that long of a time, and now all of a sudden they want to come into the conference. They're going to expect things. They're going to expect things that have been delivered to them for the past handful of decades. Can you imagine a situation where we're in the middle of the season, we're in October here sometime, you got Michigan State taking on Ohio State, good game. You've got Penn State taking on Wisconsin, good game. You've got Michigan and Iowa, good game. And Notre Dame is sitting there at 2-4, maybe 3-3, and they're going on the road to Rutgers. Can you imagine Notre Dame? Let's say they're hosting Rutgers. Let's say they're coming in to the hallowed ground of Notre Dame Stadium. You think Notre Dame's going to like having their game on FS1? You think Notre Dame's going to like having their game on Big Ten Network? That, I think, is going to be a problem for Notre Dame. And it shouldn't, because if you join the Big Ten, it's a team effort. Right, you should come along for the ride in terms of television, right? Those top three games, Fox, CBS, NBC, are the top 3 games for a reason. And Notre Dame has been used to year after year after year. If they're 1-5, they're still on national over-the-air broadcast television. They are not on cable. That is something Notre Dame has been used to, and that is a headache that the Big Ten may have to deal with, because you got to think that if Notre Dame is going to join a conference, and if they're going to join the Big Ten eventually sometime down the road, could be 13 years from now, right when this deal comes up, 15 years from now, however many years down the road that this happens, Notre Dame is going to have some expectations. Well, we've been doing this, and we've been this kind of brand for the last 20 years, for the last 30 years. Who knows? It might be the last 40 years once we get to that point. And there's going to be certain expectations for Notre Dame coming into the conference, and that's a big headache for the Big Ten. The Big Ten would have to put their britches on and say, no, you, Notre Dame, you're on the same level as everybody else. Notre Dame is equal to Maryland. Notre Dame is equal to Rutgers. So I don't think we're going to get in a situation where the Big Ten is going to be waiting on Notre Dame. And a lot of people think, well, you got 16 teams right now, and they're not going to make a move unless Notre Dame becomes available. Even if Notre Dame becomes available, if I'm the Big Ten, I'm looking to expand my conferences to other parts of the country. They did a good job by getting into Los Angeles on the West Coast. That was a big-time get for the Big Ten. Like, if I'm looking at 2036, if I'm looking at that ACC time period, what about South Florida? What about Miami and Florida State? I know they're not AAU schools right now, but they're solid academically. What about Georgia Tech? They're an AAU school, and they're in the heart of the South in Atlanta, Georgia, right? And you continue to go up and down the list, and there are other valuable programs to expand the reach of the Big Ten rather than that school right close to Lake Michigan in good old South Bend, Indiana. Okay. Although Notre Dame provides you lots of exposure, lots of eyeballs, there are other advantages to having other schools join their conference. And if there's one thing I think we've kind of learned about the Big Ten, I know USC is a private school, but maybe the religious institutions really isn't up the Big Ten's alley really right now. If Notre Dame calls, I'm hesitant to answer. I want to hear what you guys think. If Notre Dame were to be available for some reason, 2 years down the line or 22 years down the line, are you picking up the phone and do you want Notre Dame to join the conference? Or if you're the Big Ten, are you saying there's plenty of other schools out there to expand the reach of the conference? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe to Big Ten Ted if you haven't already. I'm Big Ten Ted. We will see you in the next one.